Yeah, I guess. But how long? Because when you go back to Iowa, do people realize you're recording an album or videos out, or can you just walk the streets without people taking your autograph? Or,
You know what's funny? And I think that's the charm of being in the Midwest or living in Iowa because most people knew who we were anyway. I mean, I grew up in a very small community that when I would come home, I was literally the same. I went to Catholic school. I put on my uniform, I'd go to school, and I was the same. I was just a kid. I felt like I wasn't any different.
mm,
And even though everyone else looked at me kind of differently, but then um, they adjusted and it became like, oh, it's just Tracie. Like,
okay.
he's annoying and normal. Like, I wasn't walking around like, I'm this diva. Like, it was never like that. I was a tomboy. I was in Catholic school. I would go home and still play with my Barbies. I'd go roller skating. I'd ride my bike around and I was just a normal kid.
Wow. By the time you were coming out, had Stacey Lazarus all come out and Tracy's already come, sorry, Tracy, Shanice and, you know,
Mhm.
had they come out? So it was almost like, okay, we kind of, it wasn't just you as a young artist. Had that happened or were you one of the first to come out?
Um, God, that's hard to tell. I want to say no. Stacey Ladisaw was before
Okay.
me and Shawnee's. Yeah, she was before us. I don't remember how old she was. I thought she was like maybe 15 or 16 or something when
Okay,
she
so
first.
slightly older. So okay. So
Yeah. And me and Shawnee's were the youngest. We're a few years apart. Um, and yeah, then you had Debbie Gibson
Debbie
and Tiff.
Gibson,
That,
Tiffany. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So that was
Okay.
our little crew of young.
Yeah. Of young girls. But then on the male side, were there any young boys that were around? Because
You had not right at the beginning, but I do remember it might have been by my second album when you had like High Five and
oh, but you had the boys
Te-
back in those. What about
the
the boy?
boys. Yeah, I got them forgetting the boys, and I went on tour with them. Oh my, yes, the
Okay.
boys. Love them. They were so sweet. Yeah, I went on tour with them because we did a tour with me, the boys, and then I met Albie Sure at that time and did a show. And yeah, yeah, there were more. Oh, and then there were New Kids on the Block.
Yeah, but they were a little bit older. I mean, we're talking about
They
6,
were
17,
old.
18. Yeah, because you came out, it was
Yeah,
11 or 12. That's still, still quite
it
young
was
to,
young. Yeah, between me and the boys because they had
yeah, they were,
Bilal, I think was like 10 or
yeah.
something. He was the youngest in the group. And yeah. But not many, there were definitely not many females that who were 11 and 12 that I was meeting or on the road with. No, there was
Now,
not a lot.
yeah, no, yeah, as I said, that you guys were with the Trailblazers. But then I mean, when your self-titled album comes out, was there an expectation from Capitol, like, okay, you need to go gold or platinum, or is it just like let's put it out there, see how it goes, and then we'll go back to the drawing board?
It was very much like that. They were hopeful. They put a lot of money into just the record itself and the videos. They wanted to make sure everything was, it was like top tier. Like we're gonna put everything we can into this project for people to take it seriously because they knew it was going to be a challenge trying to market a child. They just
You
weren't
saying a
sure.
child.
Like a toddler. Like how
Yeah.
do you who wants to buy a toddler album? So it was a challenge. It definitely was a challenge. But it was fast. It was fun because once I got on the road, then you had all these young girls who were so excited because they were like, they were just like, oh my God, like she can do this, we can do this. And or here's
Mhm.
like this young girl that's not, that seems like a pretty normal kid who's just out there living her dream,
Yeah.
having fun. And so that was truly exciting. But I still think there were still some of its challenges because I also had an adult audience who were into my music because the first album also had big ballads on it,
Mm.
which drew a different group of people. And I think some people felt some kind of way where they're just like, oh, like I really like this girl, but she's 4. Like this is weird. I mean, a 4-year-old's record, like this is weird. But then it became normal after a while. I think people realized because that was we were we were always trying to do our best, even with the label and with management and my parents, to make sure I stayed looking like
Okay.
a young.
Yeah. Even though the songs
Because
might have been a little bit more mature, but
yeah, because we didn't want to do bubblegum pop songs. We wanted people to know that, she's not just here, you know, for a minute. We want everyone to grow with her and want you to know that she actually is an actual singer. And so, yeah, you had to throw those types of songs in there to show people that I wasn't just a little kid.
well, you had new edition, Pop
Yeah,
Candy Girl. I thought they could have thought, oh, that's a nice little bubblegum type of music that could have been around the time you came out.
I think it's easier though. It's always different with between guys
Yeah.
and girls. We get viewed differently.
Yeah.
More of a challenge when you're a female artist.
Yeah.
I think you get judged more.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it is hard because then who are the boys running to the shows and as to, are the fan males as opposed to little boys who would have lots of girls who tend to be the fans. You can sort of find an audience and market to them as a label, I would imagine. So,
Yeah.
um, did was there disappointment from Capitol with the sales and performance of the debut album? Or did they just say, well, we've learned our lessons, we'll move forward? Or how did they receive that? And did you know any differently?
Um, I think they were happy with the way things went, and they were glad to see that I was able to get mainstream success, that things worked well overseas because I ended up doing a tour overseas on the first album. So I think there were a lot of surprises that they just weren't sure because they really didn't know. They went into
Hmm.
it going, we want to make this happen. We just don't know how it's going to happen. So let's just, take a gamble and see. And so, yeah, that took me into the next album. And at that point, I had a new president. So that's kind of how it all began. And going into that record, it had its challenges because at that point, I was 13, going on 14 when I started putting that record together.
Okay.
And that's when I started writing. And that's where Tender Kisses um, came from, writing that with my brother. And that album to me was more experimental because I still wasn't like, I wasn't 18. So we couldn't be like, okay, well, now she's 18. She went from
Yeah.
11 to 18. It's a huge time of growth and a lot of different experiences. It was only, a couple years later.
Mm.
So I was still in high school. And so we just really weren't sure the direction to go in. And I just remember Hal Milgram at the time, who was the president, him coming to my brother and me and him going, hey, I have an idea. And we're like, what's the idea? And he goes, you guys want to A&R your own album?
What?
Exactly.
It's like, what?
I was like, come again? I was like, I know nothing about doing that. I'm like, so you're telling me go find my own producers, find my own songs? Like, you want me to figure out the creative direction of this project at 14 years old? And he's like, yeah, I believe you can do this. He was like, make the record you want to make.
I never participated in that kind of.
And somewhere in between
us, or even loving us, on which I didn't miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No, okay, you're okay.
They don't understand what Jonas Boys and winning all spirits.
Play it.
I mean, I love all different genres.